All right, y'all. This week, we're having a bit of a more mature conversation, right? Since my lovely producers love to dig into my pockets and other podcasters like pocket watching, I thought we would talk about the means of creating generational wealth, but also Black consumerism and how we view capitalism. Now, if you are on the Patreon, we had a very heated discussion around the existence of billionaires and whether you can become a billionaire ethically or not. I believe in billionaires. I believe in Black billionaires, and I believe in expounding in as much wealth as humanly possible while you live on this earth, because why the fuck not? Money is success, goddammit. And I do believe that money can buy happiness. I do want to talk about, as well, being 34 years old, and currently amassing the wealth that I have, me coming into the crossroads of realistically feeling kind of pressured to buy real estate, and leaning into home ownership as someone who, as you guys may have heard, does not want to be married, does not want to family plan. And so the idea of buying a home to live in it, and then having to pay for if the faucet breaks or mow the lawn or the HOA fees or the taxes on the land, all of those things become an expense to where I'm just like, but isn't rent just the cheaper route to go? And then I want to talk about, too, in this episode, if we're talking about building generational wealth, what that really looks like, and if reparations would have helped us at all. We're going to dig into some financial literacy, but also I want to go ahead and state that I do not believe that any of our community should see reparations. That's right. We'll also talk about how Trump thinks that white people are owed reparations for whatever reason. Anyways, guys, I am joined today by Ish from the Budden Podcast, who has been shaking his head in like, bitch, we talk too much about this shit for you to still be here with these thoughts. But I'm excited to have this conversation because we do talk a lot about investment. We do talk about money and where it should be getting placed. And I think the more money I amass, probably the further away I'm looking at home ownership, and we can kind of start there because you are in real estate. But I also want to lean into the fact that at this moment of me amassing this wealth, I do feel as though this is the absolute worst time to be a home buyer, to buy a home. With the interest rates, with where we're at, I could also just keep saying I'm waiting for the bubble to burst like '08, but will it ever come? I don't know. Or will I have the money by the time that bubble bursts? I don't know. So welcome, Ish. Based on that opening statement in our mini conversations, do you call bullshit on anything I said or disagree?
80%.
You disagree with 80% of it?
No, I'm joking.
God damn.
I disagree with your stance is always on home ownership, especially from a financial standpoint. I think that we've been lied to so much. I think we got to put Google down. I think we need to do our own research on a bunch of this shit. Where do you want to start? We could. Oh, you want? We can bust it down.
We just want to
keep going with home ownership.
I think that, okay, so we'll start with home ownership, and then we'll get into all the other layers.
You said home ownership is more expensive than renting.
Yes.
You live in Manhattan. You live in New York.
Oh, no, not anymore. I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, cool. Stay in Atlanta.
Okay.
A one-bedroom apartment in downtown Atlanta is what?
I mean, a good 2,000, 2,200.
It's more than that.
No, if you want a high rise, it might be, but a one bedroom is not. I was looking at 2 bedrooms, and I was easily finding anything between 28 to 4,000.
3,500. We gonna settle.
We
in the
can
middle?
go ahead. $3,500.
So $3,500 in rent. That rent increases at roughly 5% a year.
Okay.
Right. You can go buy a home for $2,800 a month. You're going to get all the tax benefits from the homeowner write-offs, especially when people start making money. You need as many write-offs as you possibly can get. Mm-hmm. With rental, you don't get write-offs. With home ownership, you want write-offs? So as a renter, and I will say, and also someone who is really knowledgeable regarding the tax code, if I am renting and I am an entrepreneur or business owner, as long as there is a door on the room, I can absolutely write off a portion of
my rent as an office space. Cool. So yes, I can get a deduction for when I'm paying.
You're going to try to play a game. Cool.
No.
Say it.
No, I think we should say, like,
Playboy.
Okay.
Jay-Z and Beyonce just bought a $100 million house in California.
Okay.
They can now go borrow $90 million back off of that house purchase.
Okay.
They're now not getting taxed on $100 million worth of income that they made. Do you know what the taxes would have been on $100 million? Borrowed money is not taxable. So now I just got $90 million of my money back that I'm not going to pay taxes on at all. The closing cost to this is all going to be a tax deduction. They could use that shit damn near as a vacation home.
I mean, I get that. I think that's my thing. And doing the extremes of even bringing in a Beyonce and Jay-Z in $100 million home.
I went as high as I possibly could
I get
just
that.
to show you.
I get that. But when we're talking about the reality and maybe majority of either single men and single women or people within their 30s, realistically, we also had a conversation about the median income and average income of an American being $50,000. I think that's the reality that's setting in. Hold on. That's the reality that's setting in for me in looking at homes that literally 4 years ago were half of what they're going for now, and then being in a place where interest rates are anywhere between 5 and 7%. So to see interest rates that high, to know that the mortgage that we're talking about to be this low is on a 30-year mortgage. So say I buy a $500,000 home, after the interest that goes onto that, I really ended up spending maybe $850,000 on it, maybe more than that. And again, being an owner of a studio, we don't sit here and think about all of the things that if a storm comes and a roof needs to be done, that's on me. If something breaks, that's on me. Let's be very clear. I grew up in a family as well, in a family where if the alternator blew, we were always one emergency away from not having everything else and being completely behind, which is the reality of where we're at in this economy right now. And so even though, yes, my money is well off in a place where I feel financially secure, home ownership to me looks not as promising as maybe it did back in the day for people.
My go, right?
Yes, Ish. It's your
so
go.
Are we going to talk about normal people? Then you can't bring in, I could shut the door and write off my studio. If you're going to talk about normal people, because normal people don't have a small business where they can use that tax advantage. If we're going to keep it apples and apples, keep it apples and apples. You just said 4 years ago, you could have bought a house 4 years ago in 2020 for $300,000 that is now selling for $600,000.
Yeah.
Where's the benefit in that from the rental perspective? There's not one. Because rents are going up every single year. That man that bought that house for $300,000, his mortgage is staying the same. He's not getting rental increases every year. And to your other point, when the roof blow off, nigga, I got insurance for that. They're going to come put a brand new roof on my shit, which is going to push my value up even more. And again, the tax benefits that came along for the last 4 years of that of that home, you didn't get as a renter. So in 10 years, that $3,500 apartment is now $5,500. And the way we going, it might be $6,000 or $7,000.
So then your advice right now would be then, in this current economy, in this market, would you give the advice for someone to purchase real estate?
As opposed to renting? Absolutely. What's going to happen is, in my opinion, because it's all my opinion, even when the interest rates go low, house prices going to rise. It's an inverse relationship. So let's say Mandy's looking for a house. Mandy can spend $5,000 a month. That's what she can spend per month. So now under existing 6% interest, you can only afford a $450,000. I'm making these numbers up. You go for $450,000. Cool. When the interest rates drop to 2%,
you refinance.
No, you're going to now be looking for a $700,000 house because your bottom line is the same of what you can spend per month. That doesn't change. Now you could just get a bigger house or a better house because the interest rates fell. Okay. It's still the same buying power. You just getting a bigger house at your top dollar point.
I also just think the reality is the responsibility for a home.
That's the point.
But I have a question too. Is because she's saying, because her phrase was it's cheaper to rent versus home ownership, and you're talking about the expenses, but also a lot of people talk about the down payment.
That's what I'm talking about too.
Because the home maintenance, anything can happen. But to get to the point where you're saying with the advantages, you also have to have the upfront money. Is that the thing that makes it cheaper?
It's the upfront money. It's the closing costs. It's the renovations, and then it is having the credit, which a lot of people do not, because unfortunately we are not taught credit. Back to my thoughts on financial literacy, you have to have good enough credit and sustainable W-2. Like, you have to have proof of income for the last 2 years. There are a lot of people over the last couple of years who have been laid off that don't have constant income coming in. I think that's the problem with me talking to a lot of my friends as well.
We got to keep it apples to apples.
Yes.
So let's keep it apples to apples. If you're talking about apples to apples, and we brought up Manhattan or we brought up Atlanta, yo, to move into a house, an apartment in Manhattan, I think you got to come out of pocket with $15,000. You can go get a house with 3% down, FHA. There are other programs where you don't have to pull a dime out of your pocket. Now, because if you have bad credentials, whether you are lacking capital, whether you are lacking credit, there are things that we have to do to now circumvent those things that are available with the click of some buttons. Fam, us in our community, and I'm going to speak for our community because I'm not overwhelmingly knowledgeable on other communities.
Same.
We got to stop making excuses for our shortcomings and do the shit that we do for stuff that we want. Everybody got Rolexes. Niggas got Benzes. Niggas go find Balenciaga money. If you can find Balenciaga money, you can find down payment money.
I don't like you calling out my jewelry, my fanny pack.
I wasn't even talking to you.
Oh, okay.
See, I didn't even know. So what I'm saying is, those are things that we prioritize in our communities, and we see it every fucking day.
Is it due to the lack of financial literacy?
Yes, but I don't think financial literacy is just something that's being taught nowhere in the world. I think that financial literacy
that's not being taught anywhere.
I think financial literacy is being taught by people that are financially literate. Pardon me. I don't think that it's just this overabundance of financially literate people in the United States, regardless to color. Most Americans are broke. And that's regardless of color. We could pull up the stats. Yeah. It's just like white people are just getting taught financial literacy in their schools. No, the fuck they not. Because they broke. So my thing is, it's up to us. Niggas spend 2 and 3 and 4 hours a day on the gram, right? On my Instagram algorithms,
mine says 7 to 8 hours a day.
But on my Instagram algorithms, I follow all of the real estate niggas. I follow the bad bitches too, but I follow the real estate niggas. So they keep feeding shit to my algorithms of young black kids, especially in Atlanta. These kids are killing them, telling you, yo, with this program, you don't have to put no money down. It's a new program. A girl tells you, yo, you could go take this specific loan. They'll give you the loan. Once you get the loan in 90 days, that's your down payment now for your home. So if you really wanted to if you really wanted to acquire real estate, you'll do the math that it takes in which to acquire real estate the same way we do when we don't have no credit and we pop up with an S-Class. Niggas find out what it takes to get these things done. It's the law of attraction, family. Whatever you thinking about a lot, it's going to come to you.
Yeah.
And so I think that we make excuses for why we don't want to do these things, why we not doing these things. It's not cheaper to rent. I'm telling you right now, it's not cheaper to rent. It may be in the short term, but over a 10-year span, look at the money that the renters are spending and look at the money that the homeowners are spending. The homeowners are happy as fuck that they bought these houses 10 years ago.
I get the 10 years ago. I'm still talking about buying in today's market as well, though.
Any market. In any market. Yo, the interest rates are a thing that they use to trick you to stay away from buying houses. People's buying houses with interest rates was 18%.
Go ahead, go more on that, Ish.
Huh?
Yeah.
Go down more on that.
Okay. What you can afford is what you can afford.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. If I know I can only afford $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, with the current interest rates, I'm gonna do the numbers and say this is my highest buying point. If it's $300,000, I'm looking for houses in that buying point.
Okay.
The interest rates it don't matter.
Okay.
Because once you run your numbers, you run your numbers.
Just like if you was buying a car.
It's just like if you was buying a car or a pocketbook or any other big ticket item. Yo, if I can't buy a $20,000 Birkin, I'm going to go ahead and buy the $6,000 Chanel. It's no difference. You get what I'm saying? So when we use these things and these tricky terms to kind of dissuade us from doing some shit, and then the benefit is if the interest rates ever do drop, I got my same house that's worth more money than when I bought it. Now I'm going to refinance and get the 2% interest rate. So now my mortgage drops even lower. So now it's win-win-win across the board.
Okay.
You can't leave an apartment to your kids. We want to talk about black wealth, and it's a good transition, right?
Yeah.
We want to talk about black wealth.
Even that, and I love that you even say that with the leaving the house to children. Again, without financial literacy, which we are saying is not being taught, you leaving a home to a financially illiterate child literally creates a liability for them, not the asset.
That's not true.
It's
far from true.
No. Do you know how many people that I know had homes within their family, and when it came down to them having to either keep it or they got rid of it for whatever, didn't know how to, just needed to get rid of it to have any level of money.
But
because it became because then if they kept up with it.
What if you put protections on it?
No.
By way of a trust.
It don't even matter.
Not by way of a trust.
You sold it. You ain't know what to do. Right. You sold it.
Okay.
It was worth $500,000. A nigga sweet talked you and you got it for $300,000. You sold it for $300,000. You got beat for $200,000. Tell me what you make $300,000 off a rental.
It's not an asset.
If you died renting some shit, would you make any money off the rental?
No, but then I guess that comes back to me. I ain't got nobody to leave shit to.
My point is this. You can leave that shit to your godkids. You can leave it to your school. You can leave it to whomever the fuck you want to leave it to. We start talking about the disparities between black wealth and white wealth, right? Two of the main things that, from my summation, that create this big-ass divide, one is home ownership.
Okay.
And we know redlining and all the bullshit that they did back in the day made that gap wider, right? But also life insurance. So when you start talking about these two things, it could be, we watch fucking all these shows on TV. They'll be like, oh yeah, here comes Karen. What do you do? I'm a home ec teacher at a high school. And here comes Jim. Jim, what do you do? Oh, I'm a part-time staff accountant. Oh, what's your budget? 1.7. You like, what the fuck? Where did you get this amount of money from? My father died in 2019, right? My father left me a house in 2019. The house was damn near paid off. It was like 15 grand left or some shit like that, right? Boom, this is a true story. I took the 15 grand, I paid the house off. So the house is owned free and clear. At that point, it was worth $240. This was 2019. The same exact property is now worth $380,000. I didn't touch it. I didn't do shit to it. It's worth $380,000. That's a $140,000 net worth jump for me. Right? I didn't do it. I ain't have to know what I was doing. You understand what I'm saying? So these be some of the shit that we use to dissuade ourselves from moving forward. Like we put the negative out there as a roadblock, and I think that we do ourselves a disservice in that. So my father left me some insurance money. So even if I didn't have the money to pay it off, the money that he left me in a life insurance policy, I could have paid off the house for me and my mom, and we would have been fine.
So then I do want to lean into generational wealth with that, right? Would you say that our community is hindered by seeing that because we're not homeowners or getting life insurance? Those two things could create you think those two things by themselves simultaneously
could create very big, very, very big catalysts in that conversation. They are very huge. Listen, if a mother and father, so we're going to put redlining in it so I can make it real big.
Not so you can make it real big. In New
Jersey, there are communities where they are predominantly white communities, right? New Jersey is one of the most expensive states in the country. So let's say back in everybody's familiar with, because it's regional, but I'm going to just throw a city out. Yep. So any of y'all could Google Edgewater, New Jersey. Okay. 20 years ago in Edgewater, New Jersey, you could have bought a house for little as nothing. Today, those houses are $3 and $4 and $5 million. So let's just say a family bought one of those houses in the early 80s. They pass away. They got 2 kids. The kids don't know what the fuck they doing. Like I said, we're going to use the same example. They getting robbed. They sell the house for $2 million. Sally got $1 million wealth jump. Johnny, $1 million wealth jump. They don't know what they doing. Their net worth just went up by $1 million a piece. That's off the house sale. Right. Let's say the mother had $500,000 insurance policy. The father had a $500,000 insurance policy. They also just got an additional $500,000. She teach Jim. He MTA guy. I don't want shit on him. He has a good quality, decent job. He has a decent job. Right. I'm saying it's not a overwhelmingly, high paying job. It's a good job. What I'm telling you though is their lives have now been transformed by $1.5 million each, and they don't know what the fuck they doing.
And now imagine if they get beat on the sale.
Even if they get beat. Yeah. So imagine if they know what they doing. Now if I say, nope, I'm not selling that house. I'm going to pull a line of credit on that house and I'm going to go buy 3 more houses with that $2 million. I'm going to go buy 4 more houses. That's the best case scenario. We talking about worst case scenario. Each one of them still just got a $1.5 million wealth jump in their net worth. Well,
but I think that goes back to what we were saying as well. The education to know what to do with it, which is why...
How long are we going to use that as a cop-out?
No. But it's... So then let me ask you, because I know we agree. Why do you not think our community deserves reparations? Because to what you're even saying, though, receiving those amounts of wealth, whatever the money you're given, right? Let's lean into reparations then. You get that money, you don't know what to do with it. What type of generational wealth happens if it stops there because you're not educated on what to do with it? So my question to you is, why then are you against our community seeing reparations?
It's layered, right?
Okay.
So I think that...
Tell me the layers.
I think that one, for them to give every black person in the United States reparations, it'll cripple the financial system in America. That's one.
Okay.
We're talking from a technical standpoint, not an emotional standpoint.
Can I ask you a question on that?
1,000%.
During the pandemic, damn near the entire country got whatever that $1,200 check, the one that people still excited about, right? Black people only make up 13% of the country. If we were able to, during the pandemic, get all of these people, mind you, multiple people in households as well, as long as you were over a certain age and had a job, my sister got it and my mom got it and they were all under the same. If you were a working citizen, you got that $1,200 stimulus check. And then unemployment somehow was also able to tax on an additional $600 a week to those people who were unemployed during the pandemic. How do you reckon that 13% of the country receiving reparations would cripple a country that was able to give out, air quotes if you're watching, this much money and not cripple, essentially? And it didn't cripple us because, let's be very clear, we're still sending money to Ukraine. We sending money to them niggas over there, these niggas over, everybody else getting money except for here. So I would like to know that answer.
One, they ain't give a shit. That's number one. Number two, and we paying for it right now.
That's what you can say, yeah.
The economy right now is in a shitter. We are paying that money back. You think they gave some? When America gave somebody something? We paying for it right now. And, dog, people don't understand. That was a tax. You had to pay that on your taxes.
Yep.
That was income that you had to claim on your taxes. That $1,200 was income. That wasn't a free gift.
No, I know it wasn't a free gift.
So you didn't get no money from the government. If you had to claim that money as income and pay taxes on it, it was they loaned you some money.
Okay.
And you now gotta pay it back.
Just because income is taxed doesn't make it a loan. We work jobs and pay taxes on it, and it doesn't make our incomes.
No, what I'm saying is they fronted you $1,200.
Okay.
Right? That money is now being made up in the economy. Right? Those things, they gave you money. What they do is give you money so you can spend more money. Because the more money you spend, it's circular. It's circular, right? So now you getting free money. You gonna go buy crab legs, or now all.
Here we go.
Wake it up. Listen. We gonna go buy. No, look, we gonna go buy crab legs, right? So now all the crab legs gone. Bro, this is a cycle, and in the most simplistic of terms.
We seen it.
So now we gotta pay these niggas extra money to go be on the boats to get more crabs. The crab is selling out. We got and now we be bitching about inflation and shit like that. All of those things lend to inflation.
So you're saying reparations would overstimulate the economy to the point of
I think that
inflation.
reparations could potentially overstimulate the economy. To be honest with you,
to the point of inflation.
Go ahead.
I just think that based on where we are as a demo and as a people, we wouldn't do positive shit with the money anyway, most of us. My nigga, we are riding around blaming whites and blaming the educational system for us having a lack of financial literacy. Dog, you've touched 7 figures for a long time now. If you don't know how to buy a house now, if you don't know how to invest your money
now. He's talking to y'all. Whoa, like what the fuck?
My bad, I'm sorry.
Allegedly.
Look, if you don't know how to do those things, it's because you did not apply yourself to learn those things. You know what I'm saying? We are not prioritizing shit. We prioritizing material shit. We prioritizing cars. We prioritizing chains. We prioritizing watches. We prioritizing bags. We prioritizing shoes. And all of this bullshit material stuff that does not build wealth. We are addicted with shit that don't build wealth.
I guess hold on. I want to add, because I do feel like I speak for some of the people, especially ones who don't care what the fuck happens. Like, nigga, I fly planes. If I could do a PJ, I would. I think that the idea that we have to live this life to what's here after we're gone, I guess maybe I don't live that way. I am going to spend my money now and enjoy it now, because again, I don't plan to have children. Cool. I don't plan to see when all of the icebergs melt and everything gets flooded, and now the day after tomorrow has happened, because I don't want to outlive that. I don't want to outrun the zombies. I am fine. That's why I got my vaccine shot. If it turns me into a zombie, fine. I think the idea too that we live in this place where we have to also be in scarcity for what we leave behind is just not the way that I exist.
It's not even what you leave behind. But your point is granted. Cool. You can say, dog, I'm getting fat, but I love sweets.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. I'm accepting what comes along with eating a dozen donuts every day. You now can't bitch, though, and say, yo, they not giving us literacy on what it takes to maintain physical health. The two things are contradictory.
I hate when you get into these analogies because I'm really trying to follow
along with it. Yeah.
You follow
that
along
wasn't a good one?
That was a good one.
So, fam,
I don't think we were ready for the health.
Yeah, I'm like,
but it's a good one.
He just put in the mirror.
We ain't talking about the fat shaving Americans now.
No, what I'm saying is we can't bitch about being in a certain financial position
okay.
if we are not doing the things to put ourselves in better financial positions. If you want to party and bullshit and be on a PJ and go rock out, catch a cab across the street, do your thing. But you now can't bitch about not having no money. And fam, be clear, niggas be balling in their 30s and 40s. Your 50s is coming. I'm knocking on the door right now. Your 50s is coming.
You are.
I was standing on couches in greenhouses, it seemed like yesterday. And fam, niggas was spending $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 a night in greenhouse. $6,000 and $7,000 a week, $8,000-$10,000 a week on liquor.
Ish, I told you the fact that the millionaires that I was partying with and flying out to see that they all sitting here trying to make money with the podcast coins that I do, like it's interesting because you're right.
I was gonna bring up athletes.
Athletes have all
touched a lot of money.
They have. You're right.
And bro, and now these dudes are no disrespect to anybody. I promise you. And I'm not
talking about you.
I'm not disrespecting nobody.
A
lot of athletes that have touched $5 and $10 and $20 million in their lifetime, they now are making $47,000 a year teaching phys ed at a local high school and being a football coach.
Well, that is very particular.
I'm not nothing wrong with I don't know nobody. It's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is if they would have gotten educational took priority in getting education on how to spend and manage and protect that money, they wouldn't. They was living how you saying.
I have a question. I have a question because we had this conversation and I want to get into it. So, speaking of athletes that do that, right? Mm-hmm. I want to bring up LeBron, who is a billionaire at this point, and where Ish and I both believe that people should be able to work as hard as they fucking want and become billionaires. I am for billionaires existing. Jason is not. Mm-hmm. King, what is your take on billionaires? Do you believe that it's okay for us to have billionaires? Not the side.
I know, long side.
I think
perfect.
The short answer is I think it's yes, but the way this shit is set up, I don't see how fundamentally it can be done, as we was talking off early on, with good practice.
So can I ask
based on where we're at today?
Let's use LeBron James then as that example, because we talked about athletes.
LeBron James.
Athlete LeBron James. Yeah.
Endorsement LeBron James.
So as that billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Who we know came from Akron, Ohio, who we saw use his strengths as an athlete, but also educated himself to get to amass the wealth he has outside of sports, because it's been all of these other businesses too.
Right.
If we were talking about, and I know Mouse just left, so we talked about the ethics of it. Are you guys against this little black boy from Akron, Ohio being a billionaire today?
You know what? No, because as you mentioned that, I think about Antoine Walker and his story. He he fucked off all his money in gambling. He had, I think, over 100 and...
He made $200 and something million.
And he has nothing to show for it. I also think about, when you think about LeBron, you think about Rich Paul, you think about his inner circle, who even if he didn't know, they helped him. I'm assuming they contributed to the education of, you need to put money here, put money there, and whatever the case may be. So... No, I think that there's a place for it.
So you just changed your mind. So your first answer, I do want to make sure you're reneging on your first answer.
But he's also saying athlete, LeBron James.
The advantage he has is because he's an athlete, right?
It's not an
advantage. Well, no, because we have Rihanna, the pop star. Hold on,
apples and apples.
Let him finish this,
Because of the lack of education, I'm saying lack of education, lack of pursuit of the education, because it's there, right? Especially now in these days. You can't compare LeBron to,
To who?
Charles in Brownsville.
Why?
Right.
Why not?
Because LeBron is the exception. He's the exception to what you're using.
LeBron is 10,000 steps ahead of that because of his journey.
Now, though, right now.
Right?
But even then with his gifts.
Because, like you said earlier, you can sell pencils or lemonade, perhaps, right?
Crack their muffins.
Listen to this. As Charles climbs that social ladder.
Yeah.
When Charles went from 500,000 to $1 million, you are in different rooms. Education comes along in those rooms. Mm-hmm. Alliances come along in those rooms. You don't go from $10 million to $1 billion without some education, without meeting some motherfuckers, without doing some deals, without talking, without educating yourself. Rihanna couldn't go from Rihanna of Umbrella to Fenty Rihanna. You would have threw her in that Fenty office, she would have fucking crumbled. Yeah. No, it was steps along that way, and the steps that come along with everybody's growth. There's a level of ascension that comes in a trajectory that's on an upward slope that gets education. Every step you go up, it's more education. So you know LeBron James, Mav Carter,
but also then Jason.
No, but
based on this conversation, do you change your stance then?
No, I don't change my stance. But I think what we're saying with the comparisons, because again, we're referencing a lot apples to apples, and we're mixing kind of metaphors. But this idea, like, so LeBron, right? Like LeBron is an exception, and so, but the money he's making also grants him to different rooms, different people that he can educate himself. Right. So then, when we're talking about the idea of reparations, right? Like, would that not grant a community the same opportunities because now they're making more money? To your point, the phrasing you use, they've raised their income level, right? Even if you get beat, you still raise your income level, right? No. So even if you have people who you say, or Mandii, you too, they don't know what to do with the money, right?
Right.
But you now have the money, you've raised your income level, right? Mm-hmm. So now you have opportunities to go seek financial advisors.
No, you also have opportunities to go buy out all the crab legs in the grocery store.
Sure. But those are also wild assumptions that fit your argument, right? So I can also say, now with this money, it's changed their life, right? Because again, you're saying if you have $10,000, that projects you to make this much money, because it gives you opportunities and you enter different spaces.
You didn't earn it.
So what's that?
We all know that earned money and money given are treated differently.
Ooh.
Sure.
Your kids don't look at money the way you look at money.
No, I'm not disagreeing with him here.
Yeah, it's a very. I don't think that's my. No, let's wait. Let me finish. So the educational piece
that's
that he was
off air, by the way, yo.
Huh? You said what?
I said that's Cuddy off air, by the way, hanging out with us.
Oh no, the educational piece that he speaks of. Yeah. When you're trying to earn more money. And I walked in this room and they introduced me to blah, 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 and we running this deal by him. You getting an education in that because that education is vital to earn that other money. When you get given money, when niggas hit the lotto, Google the percentage of people that hit the lotto from where they are the day before and to where they are now.
Yeah.
It's an example. Yo, you run through that money because it's not earned.
Yep.
Right? So I think that.
So, but if you get an inheritance, isn't that not the same thing?
Yeah, but I don't think people are. But you're not inheriting also a billion.
But sometimes. Keyword is sometimes.
No, because guess what? If
you said sometimes.
I know. Okay. If Bill Gates was my dad, education came in that.
Yeah.
Sure, but again,
being in that household, I got an education.
But that's also very like max example you're using. Again, using these max examples. The guy whose father is an accountant. Carpenter. And he leaves him something. Carpenter, yeah, go ahead.
Look, nobody ever taught me construction.
Yeah.
My uncle was a plumber and a contractor. Me in the summer times having to go there, I adopted some of that. So when I got introduced to home renovation, it wasn't foreign to me. I took to it for like a fish to water. That was an education in living in that household with my uncle, right? So if you look up the history of it's not the Rockefellers. It's one of the other rich families. I forgot which family.
Steele family?
One of the families. The Kennedys.
Yeah.
When they were young, they got allowance. Yeah. They got an allowance.
Damn, I wish I got some.
And what they had to do with that allowance was keep a detailed book of their allowance. They had to give away 10%. They had to save 10%. The other 80%, if they bought bubblegum with it, if they bought Transformers with it, they had to account for it in how you just allocated your bread. Those lessons, some of the brothers attributed to their successes today. So that education that they got, even at a small age, showed them how to balance books.
But that's still money that they were given.
And inheritance. Outside of the
educational piece showed them how to take care of the money.
But what I'm saying is, if you get reparations, you can still give your.
I want to go back to, clearly A. King couldn't stand on his point too much. He folded really quickly. So I want to go back to.
I don't look at it like a fold.
No, it's not. And to be honest, I don't think people should get monetary reparations, because I don't think there's a value, a number that you can equate to what happened to our ancestors.
Yeah, but I agree.
The reparations should come in form of land.
Well,
that's just my take.
Well, then I want to ask Jason again. Then
could be
no matter if you earn it and worked for it, or if it was given to you, why do you not believe that billionaires should exist?
I think my problem with the idea of, and again, I'm pro for entrepreneurialism. People making money is great. That's all that. So I think sometimes people don't understand just the sheer difference between $1 million and $1 billion.
No, it's
huge.
Right. Not even in the same realm.
Huge difference, right? And it's like that joke where it's like, athletes are rich, but the owners of the team are wealthy. Because the grand scale of what's happening and the difference is just tremendous, right? And so the idea to attain the money that's a billionaire, and I'll even come back to sports with the point to land it. It's people who are billionaires, it's not like they, and again, everything we're saying is generalizations, right? Because how LeBron earned his billions is much different than, the examples of people I'm talking about, right?
And Bezos,
and so Elon's a good one too, right? Like Elon inherited wealth from his father, right? Or Trump inherited wealth from their father. So now they're starting on third base, right? And so then it's not that they're like great businessmen, right? It's through this idea of policy failures and lobbied regulation that benefits them, or lobbied deregulation that benefits them, earn this amount of wealth, and then also using loopholes in a tax code, right? So now they're doing all this with the idea of that they've mastered the free market. Anyway, my problem is it's not like I have a problem with an individual billionaire. I think a billionaire is a symptom to a larger ailment, which is sort of this idea of the free market not actually being free. So it's not like if somebody has $1 billion, to Ish's point that he made earlier, whether it was off air or on, if somebody has $999 million, I'm not going to be like, yo, we'll just stop. You know what I mean? But it's this idea of this system that's predicated on things that may be immoral, like Mouse was saying off air, but also it's just not this idea that they've mastered the free market, because it's not free, right? And then to land it, right? And then you have billionaires who often buy teams, right? They buy teams, and then suddenly they turn socialist because they want they want money from the TV to be spread back. And let's have like the team like the Redskins, right? Who has this billionaire owner previously, but he didn't spend any money, wanted to have money come back to him for not spending money. And so essentially he wanted economic welfare, right? But he puts his chest out like, I'm this titan of business who's mastered the system, but when he runs his team and he has to do it without the help of these loopholes, he can't do it. And now he becomes a socialist.
I just hate that. I ain't gonna hold you. I be mad that we be so mad that people want loopholes and people want tax breaks, or people want like to find
tax breaks and loopholes are two different things.
No. When I sit here and talk about like us being mad at loopholes, we find loopholes to cheat in our relationships.
Everything.
We find loopholes to cheat on tests in school.
To Mouse's point,
we find loopholes to pay less for our groceries by going and spending time getting coupons. I don't know why, in terms of a billionaire, it's the only time in which we're like, they're unethical, awful people for wanting loopholes or not wanting to spend so much money.
We're not saying that they're awful people. We're not saying they're awful people.
No, but a lot of people say that there's no way to become... That is a lot of people's argument, is that there's no way to become a billionaire as an ethical, good person. Like, basically...
So that's not a lot of people. That's Mouse.
No. It's a lot of people.
A lot of people say that.
A lot of people. And the insinuation is that to have become a billionaire, you had to shit on people on your way there.
True.
You had to do bad business practices to get there. And so the problem is, well, if you were a better person, you would distribute that wealth more to the people in need, to where then you wouldn't be a billionaire.
Not necessarily in need, in better practice. It's to the point of what Mouse is saying.
So listen to this, and Mouse is wrong.
And Mouse ain't here. So if y'all want to hear more, go to the Patreon of Mouse's take on this.
Yo, the market is the market, right? One person doesn't set a market.
Sure.
Okay.
But also saying the market is a wild generalization that's going to help your point. Because it ignores what the systems are towards the market. That's like me saying like, relationships are relationships. People are going to cheat. Right? That's a broad generalization without going into things.
I didn't even make my example.
Yeah. I know, but your examples are already going to be faulty because you're excusing the system as it exists.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. By saying the market, that's the default of what it is.
Come on.
Listen to this. The market is the market, right? So if I own Walmart and the greeter that greets the people when you walk in the door, because Walmart makes a gazillion dollars, right? People's theoretical point is you can afford to pay the greeter $50 an hour. You're paying them $15 an hour. That's fucked up. And what I tell people is on a macro business level, that maintains order. Because Walmart can afford to pay the greeter $50. If they paid the greeter $50 an hour, you know what would happen? There would be no mom and pop ever in the world.
What is the order that you're talking about maintaining?
If Walmart, because they could afford to pay everybody a higher wage, paid everybody this absorbent amount of money to do menial tasks, nobody will work at the local cleaners. Nobody will work at the local McDonald's. Nobody will work at the local mechanic shop. Nobody will work nowhere else because Walmart has the ability to pay these people this crazy amount of money, and Mr. Johnson can't. So Mr. Johnson can't get nobody to work at his store.
Mr. Johnson doesn't have to be an entrepreneur. He can go work at Walmart for the fair wages that you're saying.
Cool. So now, again, society ceases to exist. Because you need all of these things working in a balance.
Well, no, I was also going to say, not everybody wants to be a worker. There are people that want to create,
sure. But you have to successfully able to be a businessman. And if you can't...
Well, no, there's a lot of people that are business people and not successful at all.
Sure.
But, if we're talking about the pecking order now, you have workers and you have bosses.
To your point of the order existing, right, where you need all these other systems... You're then referring to a free market being established, right? Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, if there's a monopoly, then they could do price gouging, right? And so if Mr. Johnson doesn't exist...
this example of just paying people more because the reality...
you can. Because nobody does that.
Well, but the reality of it is, like, your bottom line... may not be met. There are also, you have loss prevention.
But again,
you have a lot of expenses.
In this specific example, we're talking about Walmart.
I'm talking about
Walmart wants to pay all of their employees.
Walmart will be able to do this.
They can
do you know, with like the 10 richest Americans,
no, they can pay everybody.
Walmart has like 7 of them.
Walmart bought the trademark for Juneteenth. Said y'all bitches can't even use Juneteenth on the ice cream.
No, they didn't. That's a rumor.
They did.
That's a rumor. But
no, it's not. They did buy Juneteenth ice cream.
You got it.
Look it up.
But listen,
look it up, because you don't get to just say I'm a liar without it being pulled up.
You could be mistaken. They don't gotta be a liar.
Someone from Walmart got the trademark. Keep going. Go ahead and say your little
back
analogy.
to what I was saying, right? So listen to this. This is what I don't like. I don't like all of these negative things that come along with money, getting money. And we as black people adopt them, like more money, more problems. Money, grant. What's the shit? Evil, some money and evil connotation, like all of those things.
That's Cuddy in the back saying
all
money
of
is
those
the root of
things attach negativity to money. And they taught us bullshit like that during slavery times, right? To make us not want to strive for better shit. That's my opinion. Like, I don't buy into none of that shit, fam. If we talked about people not having financial literacy or not having the discipline to put their money in the right place. So let's just say me and Jay own a business. We wasn't going to the club. We didn't buy Rolexes. He refinanced his house. I took a loan from my wife. We bust our ass and we opened a business in a garage. And for 5 years, we ate tuna fish and peanut butter and jelly. And everybody else was in the club buying Rolexes and Benzes and shit. You mean to tell me that once we get up through them sacrifices and we get to Amazon level, now we got to come back and give our money to the niggas that was going to the club? You out your fucking mind, my nigga.
Well, all right.
I'm not doing none of that. I'm never doing that.
Tell them you don't want to get back.
No, it's not that, fam. I sacrificed and I bust my ass and I did the things that I had to do to see a level of success. And the people that were not willing to be disciplined to do that and sacrifice, they not going to get and bask in my riches.
I'm not mad at that. I also am not mad at being wrong.
That's not a billionaire level.
It ain't copyrighted.
So let's do this fact check though real quick.
I don't like how
Thank you.
Yo, shut up. I said it was wrong.
Technically, y'all are both right.
Oh,
to
Walmart
Ish's point, nobody can own the trademark for June, but you can own trademarks related to Juneteenth products, and Walmart.
And they did for Juneteenth ice cream.
Yes. Walmart did it for a company that had the Juneteenth ice cream. Some black people then put the cease and desist to Walmart because they had already put in the trademark request for Juneteenth to the USPTO, but it was for different classes. You know, when
you have to do different
they gave 57.
So they did for the ice cream.
I don't want to fight, Mark.
Okay.
I just told you it was wrong. It's all right.
I'm just saying that we were both right then.
But
we were both wrong and both right.
But to our point, I just think that we have to collectively come together. We got to work together. That's a big thing. Like, blacks don't value blacks. When you talk about
not wanting to give back, can you talk in your ISO, please? I know you're talking.
I want to reference a book. It's called The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. And one of the takeaways, if I could surmise, is that he said and I don't know when I don't remember offhand when he published this book, but let's just say it was in the
was a while ago.
It was late 70s, maybe.
It's white, black, and red.
So yes, dope book, and had a horse. But he said, yo, look, we don't have the time afforded to us to keep dragging along people in our community to get us to this level that we need to do as far as nation building. So he wrote that. I look at the context. He wrote that 20 plus years ago, and we in 2025, right? Where we're talking about this thing of how the trust or the information, the education. We don't have the time afforded to us, as you said. We need to come together and like we just have to pull along the people who gets it or willing to get somewhere to a point where we can have some trust and understanding about how do we get to a point of financial freedom, so to speak.
You know what I've come to discover, unfortunately? Some of them people be white. Some of them people be Asian. Some of them people be Hispanic. So if I'm trying to beat this shit into I started buying houses in 2003. I went to every one of my friends. I left this seminar, I'm green. Yo, we could do this shit. Yo, they said we could do it. Yo, it's easy. Boom, boom. I went to every one of my friends. Every one of my fucking friends and said, yo, they said we could do it. Look, I got the books. It said you do this. Yo, I looked up on Google. They said you could do this. And niggas looked at me and was like, nah, I'm cool.
Not only that, do you want to know what other...
Nah, I'm cool.
Wait, Ish, you want to know what else people are also have been talking about? What is it? Shea Moisture... what else? There's
Miel
products.
All of them.
There's a ton of black-owned businesses getting the backlash for even selling their companies to white people. And it's the same conversation. These black people are mad that that they decided to sell
Carol's daughter, all of them, fam.
And I personally don't see the problem.
Lack of education again.
It is the lack of education because I think that you should sell you should build a business enough to sell it and make your money off of it, create another one. I think that is actually what most people do when they create a business. It is to sell it. It's why even as podcasters, we talk all this conversation about IP and why it's so goddamn important. That's literally it. It's so that we can own something and be able to sell it when it amasses a value that can make it make sense for us.
We don't examine the full case study of these sales.
Businesses, yes.
So if I go to like Bevel, Tristan Walker, shout out to Tristan Walker. When he came out, the groom, the hair, the clipper and the hair care product for men, he sold off the company to Johnson & Johnson, which allowed him to be in Target. Right? He still runs the creative, but
I'm not even mad if they sell the whole business.
You do something great, do it again.
Jay-Z.
Right?
Jay-Z owned 100% of Ace of Spades. Guess what? I'm not getting distribution everywhere in the world. So let's say I'm putting 1,000 bottles on the shelf. They my 1,000 bottles. But when I go team up with LVMH, who Hennessy has distribution worldwide, now I go from putting 1,000 bottles on the shelf to 10 million bottles on the shelf. So I might own 100% of 1,000 bottles as opposed to 50% of 10 million bottles. My nigga, when you start taking some of the emotional shit out of this and start talking about what's logical and rational, these decisions are easy decisions.
I think, though, that is the problem because of the traumas associated with artistry, because of us even having to discuss reparations and what we're owed. It's almost impossible a bit for our community to remove emotion out of actual business decisions.
You know when they remove it? When they start making money.
Yeah, and then they get called Man DeSantis.
That's your name?
No. Mandii DeSantis.
Mandii Taylor Green.
They be joking about me being a Republican, and I don't like that because I'm not. I voted for Kamala. I voted for Obama. You know, I voted for Biden.
I think even that.
Let's fact check that after here.
All of that shit.
Wow.
Yo, look.
Okay, wait. I might have not voted for Biden.
Yo,
I did vote for Obama both times. I don't think I voted that election.
Damn, to me, all that shit is divisive.
No, I did vote for Biden. I didn't vote in the Hillary.
Well, essentially, I remember growing when I was a kid, you know, when they talk politics in my house, if I go to my aunts, uncles, or whatever, they would talk about politics, but you didn't know where they lean. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like when the COVID with the vaccine stuff, right? That's your personal business. That's HIPAA, right? You don't share that shit. You wasn't supposed to share your political affiliation. Now it's like, what are you doing?
Disagree with
you better take a picture of your Band-Aid.
I disagree with that.
You got that shot.
I disagree with that too. Like the things that they say are taboo for us not to discuss, I think should be open discussion.
I'm not gonna lie. I think all employees, and this was my thing even when I worked in corporate America. I hate that it's taboo to talk your salary. Yeah. I think right now in podcasting, the reason why so many people don't know how to negotiate their deals is because podcasters aren't being truthful about what they're making,
each other.
And they're all competing. They don't believe, unfortunately, again, a problem within our own community. They don't believe that there is enough wealth to be spread around.
Or do you think people have a fear of speaking because they'll because there's a fear of talking about finances, right?
Why?
Or their financial literacy. We'll get to that in a second. But then the idea of is there a fear that if I talk about what I make, I'll get played because I undervalued myself?
Yes, because you could hear.
But to your point, if I did speak about it, I could find out.
I'm not even talking about speaking of it in the masses. To me, it's speaking with an ish. It's speaking to my peers. I think there's been times where me and Cuddy got hit up for the same deal, and I'm like, oh, and she's never not shared with me what she's gotten, and I've seen more because she was honest. Like, girl, don't ask for that. You can get more than that. I know that they're like, and to me, that's how we actually build up our own community is by sharing what we're getting so that we can actually get what we're worth. And what's unfortunate about that is we're not doing that.
No, why?
That doesn't exist. That doesn't happen.
Because Cuddy don't got to be at the top of the mountain.
Boom.
In our neighborhoods, everybody is competing.
Nah, she want to be at the top. She like, nah.
Look, but she can bring you at the top. In our neighborhoods, everybody's competing.
Facts.
Right? Somebody can have a nice car and they can be like, oh, yeah, that shit dope, but that's a 2021. I got a 2024. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yo, if he fucked her, I know I could fuck her. We are competing in every single facet of life. Yeah. So if Mandii could get 20,000 from this place and Cuddy got him for 30, Cuddy just a real motherfucker saying, no, get him for 30 because I got him for 30. Yep. Some niggas would be like, yo, this stupid bitch took 20 grand. I hit them niggas for 30.
And that's unfortunately what we're seeing.
That is what is going on.
The conversations, financial literacy is one thing, but the idea that we genuinely as a community do not like to talk real about money in general. It's just money.
It's been taught to us that it's taboo. When you on a train and you hear these two white ladies like, yeah, we sold the house for 1.6. I was so upset because Nancy and them got 1.9.
You're on the train on the Upper East Side.
Bro, we on the train. They talking about, yo, I'm mad that I got 1.6 for the house.
Yeah.
They don't look at it as taboo. We'll tell motherfuckers, I ate that bitch out. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, my nigga, da-da-da-da. Girls talking about they take it in the ass and they do this and they do that. We more free to talk about our sexual bedroom than we are to talk about money.
I agree. And I think though, when we lean into money can't buy happiness and all those things, we lean into the other trope that I think is, damn it just lost me.
Money is a bad thing.
No.
Billionaires are evil.
Or fake it till you make it.
That part too.
Like there's an element
of a competition thing.
Also showing an amass of wealth or showing that you have something that you actually don't, which unfortunately then creates people frauding about what they're getting and not sharing the information that actually could help us pull us up by our bootstraps to go out and get the money that we deserve.
That's true. Because we participate in the one-up culture.
You have a podcast that obviously talks and tries to dismantle taboos.
Yes.
Right? So the idea
we're not talking about... No, I'm just playing. Yes.
But the idea of money and that being a taboo, right? Is that something that is changing, will change? Is there a reason it's a taboo? Because it upholds a power structure?
Listen to this. If I tell this girl that I make $47,000 a year, it's a chance she might not want to fuck with me. They just said they're not fucking with the dude that bring home $4,000 a month.
Hey, calm down.
$5,000 a month.
Calm down.
So now these dudes are sitting around fronting, wearing fake jewelry in the club, and I hope I could fuck her in 3 days because I don't have to see her in the daytime because I ain't wearing this jewelry in the daytime. I met at night.
She'll never know.
Right?
I'm not gonna hold you. Yeah.
I know dudes that work 9 to 5 jobs. This is a real story. I know niggas that work 9 to 5 jobs, and they go out and they pool their funds together to buy a bottle. And the bottle might be $900. 2 bottles, because in New York clubs, if it's 4 of us, we got to buy 2 bottles.
Yep.
Right? So now that bill $1,800. Niggas can't get to work the next week.
Niggas won't eat for a week.
You get what I'm saying? Like, yo, and that's all to try to impress somebody so that I can look like I live a better lifestyle than what I actually do.
To answer that, I agree with him. Suffering. I don't think we get to a position at all where money becomes a comfortable conversation. And unfortunately, it is easier to talk about eating ass or being in a relationship with 2 women because I can't keep my dick to myself, so I want to open this up and be poly. Like those conversations where I love where it's pushing the
sexual freedom,
the sexual freedom and liberation and reality of what our relationships actually do entail. I think that is leap years ahead of even where we are in talking finances. I do want to really quickly get into hypocritical me. Because, goddamn it, I have a tweet that I don't like that you just be pulling my tweets like this either.
Ooh,
this tweet comes from December 6th.
This is a last minute one, too.
Of 2023.
Fourth quarter.
It says, I ended up taking a break on my house hunting this year, but I am very proud to be close to my $40,000 saving goal. This is on top of reaching 6 figures in my 401k this year. I spend/enjoy my money, but not enough to not be prepared for a rainy day. Does anyone else use Ally?
So the context of this being pulled.
The context of this one being pulled. Listen to this shit.
And this is not because you asked.
Listen to this shit. This isn't even about all my.
Was this a sponsored tweet?
This is not a sponsored tweet. Okay. I think this actually may have come from, honestly,
does anyone else
have had conversations and also my accountant around the interest. Like, so where, again, it was a lot for me to have a savings account, right? And that's because no one in my family, me growing up, no one had enough for a rainy day. Savings was like, I finally made it. If you're just keeping money in a regular Chase account or a savings account, you're seeing 0.001% interest on just holding that money there and you're not seeing.
Agree with all that.
Ally is giving you 4, sometimes 5% return on the money that you keep in there.
Not sponsored.
Go ahead.
Sponsored.
Not sponsored. But this is not sponsored by
She
Ally.
doesn't believe in black banks. Because she doesn't like, she can't trust new institutions.
She likes virtual banks.
They're too new, but she likes Ally. But did you know that Ally has mad lawsuits against it for discriminating against black, Latin, and Asian folks?
Thank you.
Every bank.
Every bank.
That's all banks.
Every bank.
But
I also want to say, at the end of the day, I get 5.4% return on my money. And so, yes, I mean, when we're talking about, again, that goes into cancel culture of our morals of who we align with. I said on another episode, I still drink fucking Starbucks and I'm pro-Palestine.
There you go.
Like,
still listen to R. Kelly.
But there's a cheat code in your tweet.
I still listen to R. Kelly.
There's a cheat code in your tweet. On top of reaching 6 figures in my 401k this year.
Yeah.
You tweeted that in 2023. You wasn't working corporate.
Oh,
so
well,
when you exited, was that something you added?
No, I moved it along. So coming
right,
from,
but what I'm saying is you had the discipline enough
to max out my 401k every year as an entrepreneur.
You're gonna let it cook.
Yeah, some would call that financial literacy.
You know what happens? It's not. It's just following what they told you is the right thing to do.
Right.
You are giving somebody your money.
Yeah, I am.
They are investing this money. And they are giving you trash back on the money that they invested and made zillions of dollars from in the form of a 401k. And they sell you this rainbow that when you turn 65, you're going to have $1.2 million. Nigga, I might not get to 65.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. However, no.
Coming from your point.
No, my mom and my dad, I will say, both in having a 401k, where you talked earlier about being able to loan against a mortgage, this is what I've actually been able to see both my mom and dad do within their lifetime is loan against their 401k.
They stopping that too.
You said what?
They stopped it in a bunch of companies now.
Oh, well, my mom just did it. And she's paying back her stuff.
They wouldn't let my girl do it.
Really? I mean, it's probably based on your company, nigga. It's my company.
No, I'm just saying.
I can loan against my 401k, nigga.
Home ownership.
But to your point, it's changing.
But yes, it is changing.
Yo, we could pull the money for college. We could pull the money for a home purchase. Yeah. They are changing that shit, which means they are controlling how you even take your money out. They told my girl that the only way she could get the money out was when she left.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm telling you is, if you were to take your 401k and you were to put your 401k in Bitcoin right now, you'd be up 50x.
Yeah, but
the educational thing.
We ain't getting into crypto on this episode.
I'm not. I'm just giving you an example.
That's a whole nother little.
If you were to put it in Nvidia,
all the niggas that bought them NFTs a couple years ago.
No, but that's a different. That's
okay. See what I mean? This is why I don't want to get into
this. What I'm saying is this: the financial literacy piece. We feel more comfortable investing with the whites than we do with ourselves. If the white man say, "Yo, this 401k is where it's at," we gonna say, "Yes, boss, it's where it's at," and we gonna put our money there.
Okay.
You're not giving me $1.2 million back on my money that you've been investing for 30 years.
I love that you've been so smart this whole episode.
Yeah, you're stupid,
because I want to shake the table just a little bit. And I do want to give Ish a financial literacy test right here on air. If you don't mind us rounding out this way, I would love to see how financially literate you actually are.
I may be trying.
So here we go. By the way, this is not an ad, but where are we pulling this quiz from?
This is FINRA. It's the... This is the Financial Industry Regulation Authority.
Boom, there we go. Let's put Ish to the test real quick.
All right.
How many questions total is it, by the way? 7 questions. Yes. Let's go.
And it'll tell you the answers at the end.
Okay.
All right.
So Ish, suppose you have $100 in a savings account earning 2% interest a year. After 5 years, how much have you earned? More than $102? Exactly $102? More. Less than $102, or you don't know? More than $102. Okay.
Right.
Imagine that the interest rate on your savings account is 1% a year and inflation is 2% a year. After 1 year, would the money in the account buy more than it does today?
Less.
Exactly the same or less?
Less.
He said less.
With confidence, too.
He's so confident. If interest rates rise, what will typically happen to bond prices? Rise, fall, stay the same, or there is no relationship?
No, it depends.
It depends is not one of the answers.
I know, asshole. What's happened right now is the bond market is in the trash for one of the first times in United States history. The bond market is caca. Interest rates are higher.
So there's a relationship, you're saying?
Yeah, but I'm going to put...
multiple choice. You got 2
Fall.
out of 5. Fall. Okay. True or false? Oh, this is 50-50. You better get this. A 15-year mortgage typically requires higher monthly payments than a 30-year mortgage, but the total interest over the life of the loan will be less. Is that true? All right, 3 more questions. True or false? I love it. Buying a single company's stock usually provides a safer return than a stock mutual fund. False. I don't like that you really think you just... You better have 100%. Suppose you owe $1,000 on a loan and the interest rate you are charged is 20% per year, compounded annually. Oh my God, this takes me back to my accounting degree. If you didn't pay anything off at this interest rate, how many years would it take for the amount you owe to double?
Let everybody know.
Less than 2 years, 2 to 5 years. Wait, no, because there's 2 to 5. 5 to 9, 10 or more, or you don't know. So you saying 5 answers 2 of those.
No, I said 5 to 9. It's the rule of 72.
Okay.
Wait. Let me fix that. 20% divided by 72.
Look at you knowing rules and shit. Okay, keep going. Carry the 1.
So stupid. It's 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
2 to 4, all right.
Okay, last question.
Wait.
Don't.
There you go.
It's 2 to 4.
It's 2 to 4. It's final answer.
Final answer. And last one, hopefully y'all are following along and answering these as well. Which of the following indicates the highest probability of getting a particular disease? There is 1 in 20 chance of getting the disease. 2% of the population will get the disease. 25 out of every 1,000 people will get the disease, or you do not know.
Hold on, let me do the math in my brain.
1 in 20 chance.
1 in 20 is 5%.
2% of the population.
So
that's a lot of motherfuckers.
25 out of 1,000 is...
I think 2.5.
Yeah. 0.4%. 100%.
So what do you? Which one?
Cuddy, you can't be phoning a friend. You can't
I know.
be chiming in.
Which of the following indicates the highest probability then?
The first one.
The first one. 1 in 20 chance of getting the disease.
All right, and the results will tell you kind of where you stack.
Okay, what's the results? Let's go to the results to see if Ish is financially literate.
Boom, 100%.
Damn! Wow. Y'all, Ish really be knowing what he be talking about.
So we need to give some of these other financial...
Nah,
they're my niggas. Which ones are doing the master classes? Hey. Wait, let's talk about the master classes.
But also, real quick, so he got 7 out of 7.
Yes.
National average with this test is people getting 3.2 correct.
Wow. How much?
3.2 out of 7. Yeah.
Okay, so they're about almost halfway literate.
There you go.
If you want financial advice, how to get your financial correct,
don't hit me, y'all. I got too many niggas in my DMs there.
Okay, I will say, now what? Have I changed my mind? Maybe just a little bit on the home buying. I will say, especially because we have had conversations about multifamily home purchases.
For 4 years.
Don't do this.
Mind you,
for
4 years.
You've been making this argument.
Don't do this.
Has she bought?
All you have to do is turn the microphone on.
Bruh.
Shut up. Shut up. So I have potentially changed my mind, and I wonder if any of you guys have too. So where we stand on all this, you were saying, and I like to do a quick recap of what, my guests say. You say you not giving back to the community. Fuck them niggas.
I didn't say
they don't
anything
know what
of
to
the
do
sort.
with the money they get.
I didn't say anything of the sort. What?
Hold on. Hey, Keith, what else did you hear him say?
Not that. We got work to do.
Oh,
that's what I got.
Okay.
We got a lot of work to do, and I'm glad he. At first, I was like, "Damn, he's gonna come in here and just light fire and shit." But we got work to do.
We have a lot.
He's giving us the tools too, and we got to. One of the biggest layers is we got to remove the self-sabotage of mistrust, and we have to seek information.
And he said, "All skin folk ain't kin folk."
Well, yeah, that part.
I mean, and basically. So I do have a question for the audience as well. After our conversation, has your mind changed? Do you think it's better to buy than to rent, no matter the financial environment? Or do you think reparations won't help our community at all? I want y'all to share your answers in the comments over on our social media page, especially the Discord and over on our Patreon, where again, we have more of these very thought-provoking conversations, and we accept your bullshit opinions. So you can lean into your selective ignorance or choose to be educated. Either way, we will see you next week, and y'all can always catch Ish dropping these gems over on the Joe Budden Podcast. Ish, thank you for joining me, and next year I'll get a goddamn house. Okay?
Yeah.
Fuck!